but it really gives us the option of issuing a trespass warning and then following our process of what the trespassee has to go through. And
Palm Coast Acting City Manager Lauren Johnston on the topic of implementing an ordinance banning overnight camping and sleeping in public spaces.
The Palm Coast City Council unanimously passed the first of 2 votes to implement the ordinance, making sure they're in compliance with the 2024 law signed by Governor DeSantis. Palm Coast Enforcement Manager Barbara Grossman.
The proposed ordinance is to bring the city code up to date with state law and provides for the prohibition of enforcement and an appeal process for public camping and sleeping on public property. Regarding the prohibition, as outlined in the ordinance, no person may regularly engage in public camping or sleeping on any public property.
However, the law doesn't have a designated place to send those who trespass, which concerns Councilman Ty Miller.
Obviously, they're being displaced into somewhere else that then is just another issue, right? And so I know we had some issues in the past behind the library, other places. And so I just want to make sure that, and this, again, also may be a separate issue that we can talk about further.
More from Palm Coast City Council member Dave Sullivan explains a previous opportunity between Volusia County and Flagler County to have a cooperative shelter, but it's still not in place.
And it was sidetracked. There was support for it, quite a bit of support for it, but finally was voted down. When that happened, there's no clear-cut place for us to send. The idea was to have beds available when you have a situation like this. Now, with this law being passed, it's a shame we didn't already have that agreement with Volusia County to use their shelter.
The law went into effect on October 1st and states the banned property for camping or sleeping must be owned by a city or municipality and have a majority approval by the municipality's governing body to use the land for that process. For Flagler's Local Morning News, I'm Karen Johnson.
Good morning, Flagler County. I'm Rich Carroll. You're listening to Flagler's Morning News on Thursday, April 17th.
I believe a safer community is an engaged community.
Flagler County Sheriff Rick Staley joined last week's Free for All Friday to talk about his effort to keep the community safe.
Sheriff Staley says despite how often you may hear him on the radio talking about local criminals, crime is down in Flagler County.
We're down over 50% in crime since 2017. And we have a reputation in the criminal element that they know, for the most part, to stay out of Flagler County. We tried to buy some drugs, a significant amount, a few months ago. And the person told our undercover agent that I'll sell you it, but I'm not going to sell it to you in Flagler County. So we went to another county and bought it. In partnership with that sheriff's office.
Staley credits the hard work of local law enforcement for the region's growth.
USA Today named Palm Coast the second best city to move to out of 30 in Florida. Palm Coast was ranked 39th in the country as the safest city to move to. You showed the thing with the overall crime grade of an A. And another organization ranked Palm Coast second out of 15, with only the Villages being higher. So, and the city of Palm Coast does a survey every other year, a professional survey, and 92% of the residents in Palm Coast felt safe.
I'm Daryl Moody reporting.
This local news is a service of Flagler County's Toyota dealer, Beaver Toyota, here to wow you. In other news, 2 teens have been arrested for a February armed robbery. 18-year-old Messiah Givens of Palm Coast allegedly used a BB gun with the orange tip removed to rob a juvenile at gunpoint. A 15-year-old from Orange City is accused of helping plan the robbery and assisting afterward. Givens was arrested March 2nd and remains in jail without bond, while the 15-year-old was taken into custody at his school on April 14th. In another case, 53-year-old Michael Janelle of Palm Coast was sentenced yesterday to 2 life terms for multiple child sex crimes. He was convicted in March after a year-long investigation by the Flagler County Sheriff's Office. And finally, the Community Foundation and United Way of Volusia Flagler Counties announced the launch of the Flagler Community Endowment Fund at the Power of the Purse event this week. The fund, seeded with $250,000, aims to support local nonprofits and strengthen the community for future generations. And now you're up to date on Flagler's Morning News. I'm Rich Carroll.